Learners, today we will be studying more into subqueries. In my previous vlog, we have already studied about basic of subqueries, how to execute them, after writing the subquery, what are their consequences, and we have studied about single row subqueries. Today we are going to study the advanced concepts and more into the multiple row subqueries. So without much delay, please do like, share, subscribe my channel, and also to comment if you have any kind of doubts. I am there to solve all your doubts. So learners, let's get started. About more into the subqueries, about the multiple subqueries and more related topics. Previously we have studied about the single row subquery, but today we will deep dive into more aspects of subqueries. Suppose we write a statement, select employee ID, comma, then we give last name from employees, where salary is equal to, then we write select min salary from employees, where group by department ID. Now in SQL Developer, let me tell you, if you want to execute a query, there are two ways. From the keyboard, you either press Ctrl and then press enter at the same time, or else you select the query and press this green play button. So both will work the same way. Now, I think it is giving departmental invalid identifier, means the column name is wrong, which means this column name is not present in the employees table. Actually, I have spelled it incorrectly. It's DEPARTMENT and not MENTR. Okay. So now if we run this query, it is giving an error. What is it? Single row subquery returns more than one row. Why is it giving the error? See, this is a subquery and we are using the result of this subquery in the outer query, and the final output is being given. Now what happens in this is the inner query. Now exactly, let us see what is returned from the inner query. If we run the query, we see there are multiple records which are returned, but in order to compare these multiple records, we are using equal to operator. Equal to operator compares only one record, not multiple records, correct? So as from the inner subquery, it is getting multiple records, and the operator used to compare these multiple records is equal to, that is the reason the error is being given as single row subquery returns more than one row. You can understand from the error statement itself. Single row subquery, this subquery should return one row, but it is returning multiple row, returns more than one row. Now if we change this query a bit and just a bit of modification will make the query correct. What needs to be done in order to execute this query correctly? Just remove this group by department ID, okay, and execute the query. You see, you got the data, correct? So now what exactly is the difference between this query and this query? Why this query have thrown the error and why this query didn't throw the error? See, from the inner query of the second query, that is the second updated query, we are getting only one record and we are using equal to operator. That is the reason why the second subquery executed properly, but the first subquery has thrown an error, right? Because the inner subquery returned multiple rows, and against that multiple row, like to compare the multiple rows with the outer query, we used equal to operator. Now this is one way to correct the query. The second way to correct the query is, the other way to correct the query is, keep the query same. Do not change anything in the inner query also. Just change the operator. Instead of equal to, provide an in operator. See, you will get the result. Okay. So like this, you can test in your home. You can practice in your home trying to test different kind of scenarios so that it gives a better understanding and clarity. Next, now we will see another subquery. Select last name, comma, job ID from employees where job ID is equal to, here also we are giving an equal to, select job ID from employees where last name is equal to HAAS, right? It is giving no rows returned. Nothing is being returned in the output. Why? Because the inner query is itself not returning any value, you see. Okay, the inner query itself has no value. Okay, which means that from the employees table with the last name value as has, we have no record in the employees table. That is the reason the inner query is returning null, and against a null value you cannot make a comparison from the outer query. That is the reason why the entire query has given the output as null, which means no rows returned. Now let us discuss about multiple row subqueries. There are three types of multiple row subqueries. Okay, if I write it properly, subqueries. So there are how many? Three types of multiple row subqueries. I won't say multiple row subqueries, it is multiple row subquery operator. Okay, what are they? They are, number one is in, number two goes for any, and number three goes for all. Now let us understand about what each of these operators are used. I mean, how each of these operators are used in a query and what are their outputs. Select last name, salary, department ID from employees where salary in, and then we write select mean of salary from employees where, group by department ID. So we use the in operator. And why is it called multiple row? Because taking the results of the inner query, the outer query executes and the entire query provides a result which is returning multiple records or multiple rows. That is why this is known as a multiple row subquery. Okay, so if we break down this thing, okay, then how the query executes, like in the background. See, select, like if we write the same thing, last name, salary, department ID from employees where salary in, okay, we are writing the same thing. This query executes in the background like this. See, 90, okay, comma, then you give anything like 100, okay, then 60, and so on. I'm not going to put all the all the values, only I'm showing you with three values. So where salary, no, that is not the salary, that is the department ID. The salary value will be this. That is the reason why no rows returned was given. Okay, I'll give three salary values, and then if you execute it, it is going to execute. So like this, what is happening from the inner query, it is taking all the salary values of the salary column, okay, and then it is arranging the values like this. Means from the inner query these values are returned, okay, the entire salary column value are returned, and using these values the outer query gets executed and the entire result comes up. That is this one, that is returning total of 26 records. Okay, so this is the main use of the in operator. Now we will come for the any operator. Select employee ID, last name, job ID, salary from employees where salary less than any. Okay, and then there will be a subquery which is to be written. Select salary from employees where job ID is equals to, say, IT underscore PROG. Okay, and job ID not equals to IT underscore proc. So this is the result of this query. Now let us understand the query. This is the outer query and this is also a part of the outer query. Only this part is the inner query. How will you understand? Click on any one bracket. You see this closing bracket has a starting bracket, so that starting bracket will also automatically get highlighted in SQL Developer. So this is the inner query. So whatever result comes up from the inner query, outer query takes that result and gives this final result, correct? After executing the value from the inner query or the result which comes up from the inner query. Now let us understand this query. This is a very important part. Now many of you may have a question in mind that what is the use of this any operator in multiple row subquery. Basically any operator, or you can say the synonym of any operator, okay, the synonym of any operator is known as sum. Okay, we can also call it as sum operator. Okay. Now what do you understand by this sum? Sum means you are selecting some values, some, not all the values, only some value. Okay, now this any operator compares a value to each value returned by a subquery. Suppose what are the values returned from this subquery? Let us see. So these are the values: 9,000, 6,000, 4,800, then 4,200. 4,800 has been repeated twice, right? Now what this any operator does is it compares each of the value, like it takes 9,000 value from the inner query, then the outer query takes that 9,000 value, executes the entire query and compares with the value of the employees table from the salary column. Like the value belongs to the salary column, right? So from employees table, from the salary column, it takes 9,000 value, that is the first value from the inner query, and then it compares that 9,000 value with all the values of the salary column from the employees table whose job ID is not equivalent to IT underscore proj. That means it first retrieves the query where there are records whose ID is not IT proj, and then takes each of the value one by one and compares each value with the salary column value from the employees table. Correct? So now I will break it up so that it will be more understandable to you. Suppose this query executes like this. First of all, the inner query executes, right? After execution of the inner query, it takes 9,000 value. Suppose, okay? Now what the outer query does? It first does this one. From employees, then it takes this condition. It executes this query, okay, and the output of the query is right in front of you, a total of 102 records. Now what it will do, it will take the first value from the inner query, that is 9,000. It will compare this 9,000 value with this entire salary column, with whatever records are retrieved from this query, okay, that is the 102 records. It will compare that 9,000 with all the 102 records, right? Then it will take the next value, that is from the inner query, that is 6,000. Then it will compare 6,000 with all the values of the salary column. Then means from the employees table, okay, whose job ID is not equal to IT proj. So then it will again take another value from the inner query. Sorry, that is the next value, that is 4800, and then it will again do the same thing it is doing for 9000, 6000 and so on, right? And it will continue till all the values are compared one by one. Okay, now here comes the twist. After comparison, what does it do? What is the role of any operator then? See, always remember, less than any means less than the maximum. Less than any means less than the maximum value returned from the inner query, and greater than any means more than the minimum value returned from the inner query. Okay, returned from the inner query. Okay, so which means less than any means, so from the inner query it is comparing all the values one by one. So which is the maximum value? That is 9000. So it will return only those records whose less than the maximum value, whose value is less than 9000. Okay, so now let us see all the records. You will get no value which is greater than, you see, which is greater than 9000. Everything is less than 9000. Correct? So less than any means less than the maximum. Now if I give it greater than any, what will happen? If I execute the same program but with a greater than any option. So greater than any, what I said? More than the minimum value. So what is the minimum value returned from the inner subquery? Let us see. The minimum value is 4200. So you will get all the values which are greater than 4200. You see, all the values which are greater than 4200, right? So this query gets executed like this. Minimum value means what? I said you that 4200, here it will come as like this. This is 4200, correct? And if we go for the less than one, less than means what? Less than the maximum. So the query will get executed like this. The maximum value is 9000. So the query will execute like this. Okay. So this 2 point is very, very vital, right? So I think that this will be a bit complicated for you, but the more you practice, the more you watch my videos, it will become easier day by day, right? So what does this any operator do? It compares each value. Remember this thing. It compares every value one by one with the salary column of the employees table. Right, whatever data is being returned from this query, from the outer query means up till here and up till here and this one, up till here and this one. Okay, so whatever data is returned from this query, then whatever number of records, that is 100 records, 200 records, it will compare each value from the inner query one by one. Suppose it takes 9000 first, then it compares with the total number of records which are returned from the outer query of the salary column of the employees table. After comparing it, then it goes to takes 6000, then it takes 4800. Like this, one by one it takes the values from the inner query and it compares and gives the final output. Right? If you run this entire query, gives the final output. Okay. Now the next point is about all operator. You have understood about in operator. We have understood about the any operator. Now there is another thing called as all operator. So now we will understand about the all operator. Okay, the same thing will go. The same query is going to happen, but with the use of all operator. Okay, so instead of this any, we give all. Now what is the funda of all operator? I'll tell you. See, here greater than all, it means more than the minimum, more than the maximum, and less than all means less than the minimum. So greater than, less than any was less than the maximum, but here less than all means less than the minimum. Okay, it's just the opposite. And greater than any means more than the minimum. Here greater than all means more than the maximum. Sorry, more than the maximum. Okay, now if we operate this, then we will understand. See, from the inner query the same value will return, but there is a difference. You know, in the any operator, what the query parser was doing, it is taking each value one by one, means one single value, comparing the value. After the comparison is finished, it is picking up the next value, then comparing the value. After the comparison is finished, it is picking up the next value, and so on until all the values comparison are finished in any operator. But in all operator, what happens? It considers all the value at one at a time. Okay, all the value. That means the all operator compares a value to every value returned by a subquery, which means it takes all the value as a whole. Okay, then it compares. Now you see, greater than all means more than the maximum. The maximum is 9,000. So this will return only those records whose salary is more than 9,000. See, all the records are more than 9,000. Okay, and less than all means less than the minimum, which means the minimum is how much in the inner query? The minimum is 4,200. So it is going to return those values which are lesser than 4,200. See this one. See, all the records are lesser than 4,200. So this, the execution of greater than all happens like this. This is what greater than all means more than the maximum. The maximum value is 9,000, right? So all the salary from the employees table whose job ID is not IT prog, only those salaries are returned where the salary is greater than 9,000. And here this query executes as like this, less than the minimum. So minimum is 4,200. Okay, so what will happen here? Here it will return all the values of the salary column from the employees table, not from the salary column. It is comparing with the salary column, but all the values of the employee ID, last name, job ID, salary column from the employees table whose salary is less than 4,200 with whose job ID is not equivalent to IT programmer or IT prog. So the difference between any and this all operator is, any operator takes one value at a time and compares each value until all the value comparisons are finished, and all operator takes all the value at a time, then it compares the value. Okay, right? Means it takes all the value at a time, then it finds the maximum value, and then it compares that value and gives the final output. But any will not do that. Any will take one value at a time and compare each value. Okay, so this is the difference between the any operator and the all operator. Okay, now there is another thing called as null values in subquery. What is that? Select emp dot last name. Now what is this emp? I'll make you understand. Okay, from employees emp, where emp dot employee id not in, you can tell select mgr dot manager id from employees mgr. Okay, I'll give this correct. Now here we are getting no rows. Why? Because from the inner query itself the rows are returned here from the inner query, but still we are getting no rows. Why? Because we have used this not in operator, which means whatever value will be returned from the inner query will not be present in the outer query. That means the value which are returned from the inner query from the employees table manager ID column is this one, right? So as we are using not in, which means after considering these values from the inner query, the outer query will start comparing the value. Now it will try to find value which is not in 100, which is not in 102, 103, but we don't have any record apart from this 100, 102, 103. Correct? We have these records only in employees table. right? We don't have any record apart from this. That is the reason, because it is giving all the records, a total of 107 records, right? And in the employees table itself, we have 107 records, correct? You see, if I go for the select star from employees, so we have a total of 107 records. So we don't have any manager ID which is not present in employee ID, which are not in this list, means which are apart from these values, because we are using not in. That is the reason why even after returning value from the inner query, the outer query is showing as no rows returned, or you can say null value, correct? Because we don't have any of the values, any of manager ID which are apart from all these values, which are of a different value apart from all these values. We don't have those, correct? So that is the reason why it is returning as null value, or you can say rather no rows return. Now what are this EMP? What are this MGR? See, this EMP, MGR, these are known as EMP, MGR. These are called table aliases. Correct? These are the tables. These are the table alias. What are table alias? Table alias, you can say, is another name for a table. Okay. Generally, such kind of table aliases are used in joins where multiple tables are used. Okay. But in this case, why table alias has been used? Because in the inner query also it is using employees. In the outer query also it is using employees. Both are same table names. Only one thing can distinguish the table names of the inner query and the outer query is the table alias. That is the reason why in the outer query it is the table alias is used as EMP, and the inner query the table alias has been used as MGR. So when we will be studying more into SQL, I will make you understand about what a table alias is and what are its implications, where it is being used. Because in my previous vlog itself, I think I have already, not I think, but I'm sure that I have already, if you understand the vlog or watch the vlog of joins, which I have made, in that vlog you will get to understand the concept of table alias. But this is what all table alias is used. Actually, I'll give a brief idea about what table alias is. Suppose there is an employees table, suppose, okay, and there is a departments table. Okay. Employees table and a departments table. Now employees table has a column as say department ID. Department table also has a column as department ID. Okay. Now if you put a join between these two tables, then how will the Oracle engine understand that which table department ID column you are referring to? Because both tables has the same nomenclature of department ID. I mean, both table has the same name department ID. So how, when you will be joining these two tables in a query, how will the engine understand that from which table department ID column has to be referred to? Then comes the concept of table alias. This table alias is the only thing which distinguishes this aspect, okay, and makes the Oracle engine clear that from which table the department ID column needs to be used. So this is the main implication or the main usage of table alias in a query. Learners, I hope that you have liked this vlog, and what you need to do is you have to practice more and more after watching my video, because the more you practice, the more perfect your concept becomes, and it will be easy for you to crack exams or also be confident to sit for an interview. So I hope you are liking the vlog of all the videos which I have already done and this current vlog. So without much delay, please do like, share, subscribe my channel and comment about how do you like the vlog, and also for any kind of doubts, please to mention in the comment section. I will definitely clear all your doubts. So stay tuned to my channel and hit the bell icon for more upcoming tutorial videos. Till then, goodbye.